only reason they're doing that is because they're not happy with themselves.
Meaning the highs are so high and the lows are so low. You look like a complete clown.
I don't care.
Hello and welcome to the pilot episode of the Growth Game podcast. If you're watching this, then it's probably because you know me already. I've sent you the link and asked you to watch it, but if not, then I'm Thomas Murray. I'm a private wealth manager, originally from the UK, and I now live out in Malaysia. The reason I've started this podcast is because I've always been obsessed with growth. Physical, financial, emotional, or whatever it is that I've set my mind to, I need to feel like I'm improving or growing at something in order to be happy. This podcast is going to help me tackle three things. One, it's going to help me get over my fear of posting myself on social media. Two, it's going to help me grow and be less socially awkward. And number three, it's going to give me a platform to bring on experts in their various fields of growth to share with us to help me and you guys at home improve. My first guest on the podcast today is going to be Juria Hartmans. She's my close friend, my ex-colleague, and my now social media manager. She's going to share stories about her own personal growth and what it takes to grow on social media as well. So thank you so much for the support at this early stage. I really appreciate you all, and I hope you enjoy the episode. So Juria, you've recently let go of a secure, well-paid, full-time job to go and manage social media full-time. How does it feel?
Honestly, I'm very, very risk averse. So taking that leap of faith was a big deal to me because, you know, I did not have like the next thing lined up for me. And I was very scared. Honestly, I'm less scared now that I've done it, but it's extremely risky, but no regrets.
It's been about 2 weeks now since you finished with full-time employment and have just been focusing on social media. Like, what's that looking like for you? Are you feeling more comfortable now you're doing it?
Definitely. It's something that aligns with who I am as a person. I think I'll always be a creative at heart, and I think that it's never right to dim what you're good at, what your passions are in life. And if you don't pursue that, I think you're living a life that is not very fulfilling, at least for me. So far, it's looking very positive, and I'm really excited for what's to come.
And obviously, I'm your star client, but you've got some other aspiring ones reaching out as well, right? Mm-hmm. How are you handling the client management side of it as well?
It's a challenge. Managing people is never easy because everyone's multifaceted, right? So everybody has different goals. So I would say that it is a challenge that is very, very worthwhile, and I'm learning so much through the process. I'm always going to be that type of person who is humble enough to admit that there's still so much to learn about everything that you do, no matter how long you've been in a certain industry or how much of an expert you are. I'm always continuously learning every day from the people that I meet and people that I manage and people that I create with. But so far, it's been really rewarding.
And I've never met anyone so sure of what their passion was. And I think especially in this day and age, and I was definitely one of these people in my 20s as well. I was lost and I was just thinking, I wish I had a passion that I knew what it was and that I could work towards. When did you realize that social media was your passion?
I think that, I've been in social media for such a long time. And I wouldn't say that I'd known that it was my passion until I actually really gave it a go. I come from the entertainment industry. I was a model. I did a little bit of acting here and there. And it's always been creative. But then social media came about at I'm not that young, right? But when I first started the whole modeling thing, I was 18, and this was 14 years ago. But back then, social media wasn't really a thing. Then I got into it, I think, a couple of years after that. And then, it's more than just posting a selfie of yourself. There's strategies involved and catering to what people want while maintaining authenticity. I think that is something that I would say that I enjoy, because it's all about strategizing the right moves and strategizing the right moves to basically maximize returns. Is that what you say in finance? Right?
100%.
Yeah. So I don't know. I knew about it probably about 7 years ago I knew that I really liked it. And when I was in corporate, I sort of like put that on the back burner. But I knew that there was something inside me that really wanted to do it. And I met you, and you inspired me, honestly. You're like one of my muses. Is that right? One of my muses. Is that like, is muses plural for muse? I hope so.
I'd say muses. Yeah, we'll Google that one afterwards.
Like, muses. So yeah, like I saw something in you. You reignited like my passion for it, and we started filming, and here I am today.
One of the things you touched on there is something that you've obviously had to teach me along the last few months, which is towing the line between giving people what they want to see and obviously staying authentic to yourself.
Yeah.
It can come with a lot of criticism and backlash as well. How would you advise people that are just sort of starting out on this journey to prepare themselves to deal with that?
Roll with the punches. There's so many cliche quotes out there about how the opinion of others don't matter. Only what you think of yourself matters. I know it's really hard to put into practice, right? But know that you'll never, ever, nobody, no social media person, no matter how much of a humanitarian you are, you're never going to please everybody. No matter how much good you do, whatever it is, there's always going to be someone out there who's going to find a reason to hate you, find a reason to think that what you're putting out is negative influence on society. So why care? Roll with the punches. Like, there's always going to be an opinion out there that's just going to try and put you down because they're not happy about their own lives. So think about it like that also. I think when someone is criticizing you unnecessarily, the only reason they're doing that is because they're not happy with themselves. It's a reflection of them rather than you. So why should you care? I mean, I've been in it long enough to be sort of like bulletproof to it all, but initially it wasn't easy. Like, I was body shamed for most of my career. I'm naturally built quite skinny. And, we live in a time where there are trends, like body types that are in trend, certain things like that. And I don't necessarily fit certain trends. Maybe I fit others, but I'm not, I'm naturally, again, like I said, skinny. And a lot of people don't like it that I'm maybe not as curvy as what a woman should look like. And that hurt in the beginning. I did cry over it, but then I realized that like it should make no difference to my life. So I think in the process of like receiving hate, you'll understand what it's like to build, self-worth. You'll understand the importance of that. So roll with the punches and develop that self-worth, and you'll be bulletproof.
It's definitely something that I'm having to learn, and you're helping.
And you're doing a good job.
Yeah, I think we've been quite lucky that our audience has been 99% really supportive.
Yeah.
When you were doing your own social media, did you find that it was the same, or would you say you had a tougher time of it?
I definitely think that I had a tougher time, but not because, maybe marginally tougher. Not like people weren't out to get me, but I would always get at least one comment on every post that I had up on Instagram. People just saying, flat-chested. Are you a man? Things like that. Like, that happened almost on every post. And you get desensitized to it after a certain point, right? So, but yeah, like you said, our audience on TikTok, Instagram have been so supportive. We love our book talk community.
And do you still read and take into account the negative comments, or do you just block it out completely? I
would say that I have come to a point in my life, I've earned the right to genuinely not care about negative comments that are just negative without purpose. I don't care. I think that's the way I would express it, because it doesn't matter.
Are there any comments that we've received either on our own or on your own that stick out for you, positive or negative?
There are tons of positive comments that stick out. I think that I can't remember verbatim, right? But I think the general idea behind like the positive comments is that people are just so like big fans of yours. They don't know much about you as a person, right? Like they know what we put out, yet they are so supportive of everything that we do. Like when we ran that Good Girl campaign and raised $5,000 for charity.
Sensitive subject.
$5,000 for charity. And we did that in less than a month. I think there's not like a specific comment, but that general act of support from the community, it just means a whole lot. Like, it's just, yeah, I have no words, really.
One thing I've picked up on over the course of this was even before you did a reveal, back when you were still turning your face into a watermelon to blur it out and putting on a voice filter, is people saying the person behind this account is a creative genius. And I think that's happened even more so. I think the most trending comment at the moment is came for Tom and stayed for Juria.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I want them to come for Tom, but also stay for Tom as well at the same time. Stay for Tom and Juria both.
Yeah. And you're getting it quite a lot now. The credit to the creativity. And it seems, because it's not just my social media at the moment, I know you're having some successes elsewhere as well. And it does seem that everything you're touching at the moment is coming good. So as a friend that's watching a friend take this big leap, it's really good for me to see.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
What is the future looking like for you, and what is your end goal with this?
The future is looking very positive at the moment. I've had so many opportunities come my way since I left my last job, and someone actually told me right before I left my job that, you know, if you have a passion but you keep that door closed, there's no opportunity that is actually going to come inside, because nobody is going to know that you are seeking an opportunity. So open that door. So that's the advice that I took, and I opened that door. And honestly, ever since then, I've had so many DMs and like people reaching out on LinkedIn, just wanting to connect and like wanting advice on social media. In the future, right now, I'm just going to go full on with the whole social media thing and become a social media manager. I'm actually at the moment starting my own thing, building my own brand, my own website. And then we'll see how it goes from there. Also taking job interviews occasionally.
What has been the funniest moment for you so far with the Someone I Work With journey?
Funniest moment. There's so many funny moments working with you, because I think the beauty of our relationship, or like the work that we put out, is that we have so much fun making those videos. And I think that's really strong. That's really authentic. So it's hard for me to pick one single moment. I mean, I remember when we did the makeup video, we both had like a long day, and the last thing we wanted to do was like sit in front of the camera and film some stuff, right? But then as soon as we sat down, we just started laughing so hard, because yeah, it's just so funny. Like things like that, you just can't, I don't know. It's just so natural.
Trying to tell the world that I'm the best makeup artist in the world with a straight face.
That took like 5 minutes to like get it right, to get right.
Yeah, and then I make you look like a complete clown.
Yeah.
That was definitely one of the highlights for me. And I've just posted some of the outtakes on my own personal one. And there were literal tears before we even started. And I was thinking, how are we going to do this? It has been really funny. And touching on one of the things you were talking about earlier, about how hard it can be at times, I think the peaks and valleys of this, my boss in finance likes to say an expression which says this business is champagne and razor blades, meaning the highs are so high and the lows are so low. But honestly, I think that's exacerbated in the social media space. When you get that first taste of virality and you're watching your video shoot up by 100,000 views every half an hour, it's like injecting something into your veins. And then when you post something and you get that negative feedback, especially about something you were insecure about, it's the lowest lows. And I think the contrast of it is what makes it an exciting journey. And before I came here, I say this all the time, I feel like a broken record, but I didn't post on social media. I had about 200 followers, rarely posted anything. And when you said, I post you up there, I was so unsure about the whole thing. And I almost felt like it was part of my personality to say I didn't do social media. But having someone having guided me on the way has made it a hell of a journey, and it's something that I can't see being without in my future now, and using it to influence and improve the rest of my life going forward. So I owe you a personal thanks for everything so far.
Well, thanks for being part of the journey with me.
If you could have a conversation with yourself 15 years ago, just starting out on the social media journey, what would you say to yourself?
I would say that you can't control the outcome. Stop trying to control the outcome. That's just going to get frustrating, right? The doing social media as a creative person can bring so much joy. But as soon as you start trying to control the outcome, that's when you hinder creativity. That's when it stops being fun, because then you care too much about what people think, and then you're not being true to yourself. That's what I would say to myself, because I think I was obviously very self-critical because I wanted to be perfect. Like, I have this thing about me. My mom used to tell me as a child that if I wanted something, like, I wouldn't smell the roses along the way. I would just want that one thing. A tunnel vision so hard. So stop and smell the roses and stop trying to control the outcome.
What do you think gives content viral potential?
Finding the right niche. I think that I believe that everybody has a niche. It's just a matter of discovering what that niche is. And it could be literally sandpapering the floor. That could be your niche, depending on the type of person you are. Or it could be thirst traps, because obviously you're gorgeous. Sorry, I swear.
Cut.
I should have said, can you swear on this podcast?
So Juria, what do you think gives content viral potential?
Do I start again?
I think we'd probably leave that in, to be honest. It's good value, but we're definitely going to cut some of this.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so finding the right niche. I think everybody has something to offer. It's just about finding that something to offer that fits your personality. And I think authenticity is super important. So if you're going to put out something think about the long run too. If you're going to do this thing for the next 5 years, and if you created a persona that isn't at all a facet of you, it's not going to be sustainable. That's where I stand with all of that.
How do you think that the biggest names on social media retain their following?
Consistency, authenticity, and never forgetting to have fun with it all. I think that when making content starts becoming a chore, then you lose authenticity and you lose consistency. So I think you need all three to, keep being successful at it.
There are lots of people that are going to be listening at the moment who are social media enthusiasts, and a lot of them would love to see a future and be able to create the sort of thing that you've created in terms of engagement, the following, the growth that you've achieved. If you had to give them 3 tips, not including authenticity or consistency, because we covered those, what would you say?
Don't be afraid to give it a shot. Basically, don't be afraid to take risks. Number 1. Can I say number 2 is to not care about the opinion of others. Don't take those into account. Take your opinion into account. That's the one that matters. Unless if you're putting out content that's severely wrong, by societal standards, and maybe take the opinion of others. And then number 3 is that social media is no joke. It's tough work. I think when people think influencers, they think, it's just
part-time.
Yeah, it's not. These influencers that you see that are extremely successful, they have a social media calendar that's filled. They know exactly what they're going to film for tomorrow, for the next day, for the next day, for the next week, for the next month. It's all planned out. So it is no joke. It's, the saying when people say when you work for yourself, you end up working all the time. Mm-hmm. I think it's one of those industries. I think it's one of those jobs that you'll be working tirelessly, but if it makes you happy.
My journey at the start of this, I'm starting to see this more now. It's more planned out. But in the beginning, it was very ad hoc, right? It was just looking up sometimes and you had a camera pointing in my general direction. At what point did you realize that this could seriously go somewhere and start planning and scheduling content?
When I remember, actually, we posted the first one. It took like a week or two and then it went viral, right? And then I think we attempted to post the second. I think we posted a second one, but then I didn't give it too much thought. I just filmed you, like, and then it wasn't really a hit. So then I was like, okay, well, it's just like is it just a one-hit wonder? But clearly not. I think I started properly doing it seriously, maybe like a third video in. And, because there was consistency of growth there. There's definitely some in there. So it was very early on. And you're a natural.
What can I say? I remember the first video going viral, and I remember when it hit.
You were sitting behind me, right?
Yeah, we're sat in the office, and I'm trying to focus on my day job, which I've just moved to the other side of the world for. And every half an hour, you were poking me on the back to let me know we just had another 100,000 views. In the beginning, I didn't have TikTok downloaded. I had never used the app, didn't even know how to work it. And every morning I would come in and the first 5 to 10 minutes of my day was you turning around and reading me all of the funny comments from the day and the night before. And I remember telling my mum and my nan about this mad thing that was happening. And after a while, the pull became too much and I've now succumbed to the peer pressure to get social media. And you've created my own TikTok as well, which is now going to be used to primarily post content like this that I want to share as well. That has grown incredibly from the beginning as well. Why do you think that I never had any growth on social media until you started running my accounts?
I just know your angles, baby. Again, it goes back to the niche, right? I think we found our niche. When I first saw you through LinkedIn. When I saw the photo, I'm like, oh, like honestly, that photo, I thought, oh, decent looking guy. But then when I met you in person, like your whole vibe, your aura and everything about you, I just felt like there was something there, right? And I spent so much time on TikTok. Like I go down the rabbit hole just watching stuff endlessly. Probably not very healthy for you, but I used to watch content of guys, just, young Gen Z, good looking guys where, they just cross the street and then they get 5 million views, things like that. And I'm like, why don't I do this in an office context? Like if my company, it didn't come, I was reprimanded for a little bit, but.
Why were you reprimanded?
Let's not get into that. But yeah, so why not replicate that, but in an office setting? So took that risk, got into trouble with the company for a little bit, but thankfully, the company is a very understanding and supportive environment. It has a very supportive environment. So yeah, I just wanted to replicate that in the office and worked.
They have been great. And for the record, I agreed with the reprimand as well. But thankfully, they were understanding and they're supportive of what we're doing now and going forward. On niching down a little bit into the actual production of the content, I'm constantly teased for people being able to tell when I've created a video versus when you've created a video. Some call it granddad style or boomer. When you're producing content, ignoring authenticity and being true to yourself, if you have two videos side by side that are the same content, how do you make one do better than the other?
Okay, so let's compare something that people have seen. A video that you recorded recently when you were on selfie mode and you talked about, sorry, remind me again what you were talking about in that video that they called you granddad, right?
I think, was it the bottle advert we did?
The bottle advert, yes. And other things that you have posted on your own, and it's that angle. Obviously the angle matters, the vibe matters. So when the angle leads to the vibe, I think. I mean, it's heavily intertwined, right? So if but I mean, everything has its appeal. So when you film that granddad thing, you're honestly just being true to yourself, right? And that's how you film. And it actually has done quite well, considering it was the granddad angle. But I don't know. It depends on what you're going for. Like, if you're trying to make a thirst trap and you're filming it from a granddad angle, maybe it's not so thirsty or thirst-inducing. So yeah, it's all about just finding the right way to shoot something. It's quite hard to put into words, actually. It's a whole... I'm not an energy person or much... Not very spiritual, but... or anything like that. But like, I think it's a vibe. You have to go with your gut. A lot of creativity comes with like going with your gut, so...
At the moment, even when it comes to content on my own page, I'll film something and I'll send it to you and you put it together with the right editing, transitions. And
you didn't do that with the last one.
And no, and everyone can tell that I didn't do that with the last one. When you're putting things together with the intention of having it perform well on social media, what are some key things you're trying to achieve with the editing?
I think video quality. It has to be of a certain standard. You can't have anything that's like pixelated or dimly lit and then it looks pixelated. Audio has to be good because no one wants to listen to poor audio for like, an extended amount of time or whatever. So those are two like key things that I would like prioritize when making a video.
When it comes down to the soundtracks for videos as well, there are certain songs that, thanks to you, are forever going to be associated with me and people sing them to me in the street. When you're picking your audio for your videos to increase the appeal, the engagement, and the potential virality, what are you looking for?
When I watch a video, I think the audio has to take me to a place. The audio itself. Like when you're listening to a song, when you listen to a song like Pony by Genuine, it takes you to a certain place. I think about Magic Mike immediately. Oh, stripper, whatever, that kind of stuff. Or if you listen to U2 With or Without You, I feel it transcends me to a different place. So when I watch a video, the audio has to take me to the place that obviously matches the video, right? But it has to take me somewhere. It has to encourage that feeling. So with you, I'm looking for a man in finance, right? That's your theme song now, right? You walk around, that's your soundtrack of your life. You're a representation of that song. They would have make a poster. I mean, obviously you got no blue eyes or you're not 6'5", but close enough, I think.
For the record, literally the only part of that song that I match with is a man in finance. Everything else is a misrepresentation of me, but somehow that's become my song.
Yeah. But yeah, the audio has to take you to a place and it's just, again, heavily intertwined. Video, audio, everything has to like really match. And when you watch it, it has to be somewhat impactful. It doesn't have to be like educational, but it has to be impactful.
Are there any shortcuts for people trying to get a big following quickly?
I don't think there's a shortcut. I think identifying your niche and keeping consistent is the secret sauce. Prior to someone I work with, I have been in social media for a while, and the only thing that sort of like grew was my Instagram account. But everything else was an uphill battle. Like I tried YouTube, only had like 4,000 subscribers, which is not bad, but then it never saw a viral moment or anything like that. Even my own TikTok never saw a viral moment. So luck of the draw as well, right? So maybe you post something and people just end up liking it. But then I think, like I said, secret sauce is just the finding the right niche, almost like finding the pain points. Like what is it that people want to see? And can you fit that? Is that within your personality somewhere, somehow? And then keep consistent, like keep posting it. Never stray away from that niche also. That's super important when you're trying to be like get virality for like a specific thing.
One thing I've learned from working alongside you and watching you is you know how to capitalize on something when it's gone viral, and how one viral post will then lift the growth of everything else around it. How do you capitalize on something once it's gone viral?
I think that, well, the beauty of TikTok is that if you have one viral video with an audio, a sound, majority of the time, you can keep making the same content using that same audio as long as it's still in trend. You can make five versions of that same video. So I think that's one way to capitalize on it. Or if not, then make relevant videos. Like, again, if you're staying within that niche, there's so many areas of relevance that you could explore. Like, for example, with us, it started off as like people thought it was very stalkerish. And obviously a violation to HR. Majority of people thought that, right? But then a way to capitalize on that is to make a parody of the You Netflix show. It's just to roll with it, almost. If people say...
Own it.
Yeah, own it. Basically own it.
And almost turn it into a caricature.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember actually how it actually started. And that was people thought that I was filming myself and putting out thirst traps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for quelling that one. That was
And I think you helped to quell it as well. Look at the angles you shoot yourself from.
Yeah. When people saw me post my own content, they realized I wasn't capable of production of that quality. So if you have taken on a client and you're trying to help them grow their social media, what does working with you look like? I
would first have an introductory call. And then it's so important to me to understand what your social media goals are. How do you want to elevate your presence? And I want to see if it's an area that I can help you with. If it's not, then I will be honest and say this is not something I can do. But if it is, then we will strategize together. So yeah, I will come up with a strategy that fits for like a 3-month timeline. And then I'll present that to the client. If they are agreeable, then we will go ahead. If not, then, we'll open to revisions. But generally, that's the flow. What type of person do you think should work with a social media manager? So number one, a person who has found their niche, that hasn't seen a viral moment or hasn't gained the success that they want. Number two is a person with the desire to find their niche. Because you have to have these desires. Otherwise, what's the point of doing social media in the first place, right? I know you've had some pretty big home name brands reach out to you since you went down the self-employed social media route, but I know you're taking on some smaller clients as well. Between us, do you prefer working with single influencers or with the big corporations? Is it really between us though? I'm not sure. I think at this moment in time, if we're talking about staying within the comfort zone, then it's individuals, like smaller businesses, things like that. But yeah, I'm not against taking on bigger brands. But yeah, I think it's a matter of building that confidence. Great. And to wrap it up, if someone is interested in working with you, how do they reach you? They can either drop me an email. I think my email is everywhere on my social medias. Or drop me a message on LinkedIn. Or call me. Don't call me. But but yeah, generally emails will be best, or LinkedIn. Great. Well, I just want to give a big public thank you to you for everything that you've done for me, my career, my social media, and for the journey constantly pushed me outside of my comfort zone. I still have PTSD from the whole good girl fiasco, but I'm learning to roll with the punches, as you say. And yeah, thanks for being my first podcast guest. And I wish you all the very best with your career. Thank you. It's my pleasure. And thanks for being on this journey with me. I think it means a lot for having faith in me. Nice. Okay. Well, I will drop Juria's contact details in the bio here for anyone looking to reach out. And a personal thank you to everyone that has joined us. If you're hearing this, then you have just made it to the end of the first episode of the Growth Game podcast. And for that, genuinely, I cannot thank you enough. I have had overwhelming amounts of support and constructive criticism on this pilot episode. So much constructive criticism that I actually thought about scrapping the whole thing and dragging Juria back to the studio to start again from scratch. But I thought, as this podcast is about growth, it's really important to show an honest viewpoint of where it is that I've started off from and just grow from here. So thank you for taking the time, for putting up with the social awkwardness, the rigidity of the interview, and the Q&A format. I know I'll look back on this first episode and in years to come as the place where I started off
And thank you so much for being here at the beginning of this journey with me. And I hope that you will press follow on whichever platform it is that you're streaming along from and join me on this journey of growth. Thank you so much again, and I will see you on the next episode.